Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. Thanks for watching the show. I am your host, Paul Tripoli, along with my good friend from college, Kurt Neufang. Kurt, man, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Paul. And it's a pleasure, and I'm honored to be here, man. Thanks for getting up with me, and it's good to see you.
Oh, my gosh. It has been a little bit of a while, man. This show is brought to you by Sandy Sansing Chevrolet, all the fine folks here in Pensacola. Go over see them in Milton, also in Baldwin County over in Foley. Yes, here on Coach's Corner, we try to inspire and educate the mind to think, the heart to feel, and the body to act. All right, Kurt, let's start to let everybody know a little bit about you. You're from Syracuse, Solve, New York. You're my friend. You're my friend, my homeboy. And you're my opponent in football JV and Bama JVs in 80-81. You played at Marion Institute. But I want to start from the beginning. Talk about your mom and dad, because you got a really fascinating – my mother always said, you got to have balance in your life, sports and music. Well, I think you had both. Your dad was a phys ed teacher and your mom was a music teacher. Talk about growing up.
Right. Solve, New York is about maybe 15 miles from Liverpool, where you grew up. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad, my mom was a music teacher. She graduated from Syracuse University. And my dad was a physical education teacher. He taught gym at an elementary school on the south side of the city of Syracuse. He went to Cortland State. While he was at Cortland, they had asked him to be a participant or try out for the 1956 Olympic team in the rings. He was a gymnast. He was a football player at Salve High School. They won the county championship in 1950 and 51. So I got a little bit of athleticism, I think, from my dad, but appreciation of music from my mom. Yeah. And my dad passed last year. My mom passed the year before. So it's been kind of a difficult little bit of time, but Trippy lived to be 91 years old, and my mom 87. So, and
God bless him. God bless him, man. It's tough when the last one goes, right? You feel like an orphan, no matter how old.
It is. It is. And, with that gray hair of yours, you look like your dad, your mom and dad coming down to watch you play. And I think they were there for your first interception at Bryant Denny. Do you remember where it was or who you were playing against?
I don't know if they were there. I do remember him coming down once or twice. My mom was sick with cancer, and I sprained my knee in a JV game on Friday, and I was going to play in the varsity game the next day, but I came in a little late.
It was against Ole Miss. Kent Austin was a quarterback at Ole Miss, and you had a great interception that would have made like the highlight reel of ESPN Sports Center. I mean, it was pretty exciting. But I remember them coming down and enjoying and watching you play. And man, they were great people. Trip, you had a great time.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. You played multi-sports in high school, right? You first went to Bishop Ludden for a couple of years. You played quarterback, and then talk about that.
Yeah, I did. I played Pop Warner football as you did. I think you were a Liverpool Cowboy back in the day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I played in Westvale, and I had broken my shoulder, my clavicle on a bicycle accident, and when I was like 11 or 12 years old, I still wanted to be part of the team. So I taught myself how to kick a football, how to place kick. Because back then, if you kicked an extra point, it was worth 2 points. So that was kind of a unique thing. Mm-hmm. And so, I got involved in learning how to do that, kind of taught myself how to do that. And but I kept, wanting to play quarterback. And, of course, I didn't grow, Trip. I'm the same height I was when I was in 8th grade. But I went to a kicking camp later on, but I went to a camp up in Vermont called Offense Defense. Mm-hmm. And a lot of professional athletes would go up there and kind of teach, footwork and just some of the things that are necessary to be successful to work on. and Kenny Stabler was up there, and Kenny's attorney lived in Selma, Alabama. His name was Henry Pitts. He had a son who was our age. His name was Philip. Philip was a quarterback up in Selma, and we were roommates together up there at this football camp, and we got to be really good friends.
Oh, wow.
So from that, Kenny had a camp at Marion Military Institute in Marion, Alabama. So I had come down as a camper when I was in middle school and kind of learn about, the culture here in Alabama, what Alabama football was about, because, the furthest south I've ever been up to that time was in Northern Virginia. Mm-hmm. And so, as you know, the Deep South, it's just different. And people are passionate, what they remember from their history. I mean, it really resonates.
Yeah.
And, so that's my first introduction to being in Marion, Alabama, and being around Kenny. And that was a lot of fun. There's a couple stories that I could share about being there and some of the things that happened and the impact it had on me. I think that would be important.
Yeah. So you decided that you wanted to go to Alabama. Obviously, you got the Bama fever from those guys.
I did. We were out there one time, and this is in the field out in front of the campus where we all were. All of a sudden, there was one day that all these kids were out there, and we're going through drills, and everything stopped. And there was this guy that was walking up to talk to Kenny, and it was like out of a movie. I mean, I'm just standing there wondering what's going on. And Trip, and this is no doubt, this is no lie. This guy actually looked like you, okay? Back in the day, he had curly black hair and, kind of sauntered, and, you could tell he was a paisan from, someone from back in the day, and I'm thinking, who is this guy? And a kid asked me, he said, do you know who that is? And I looked at him, I said, I have no idea. The kid said, that's Johnny Musso. And everyone stopped what they were doing. And I had no idea who Johnny Musso was, and so he came up to Kenny, they bear hugged and all, and got caught up in everything. So, those sorts of things, being around all that. And then one other just quick story about Stabler and that time there. And that might've been either that year or the next year. But there was a journalist from Birmingham. He just graduated from the Tennessee School of Journalism, got his first job there in Birmingham, Alabama. And he was going to write a piece about Kenny Stabler's camp and, what went on and this and that. Well, as you and many of your viewers know, Kenny was pretty much a partier and enjoyed, those sorts of things to, endeavor into. Well, he had invited this journalist with him to go to Selma. Back then, Perry County, where Marion, Alabama was dry. Mm-hmm. So Kenny took his old entourage, to Selma, Alabama, and it was either at a moose lodge or something, and there was a local person who was running for mayor, and Kenny was there on his behalf, and there was a drunken brawl or something that happened, and they were racing cars to get there. It's about 30 miles away from Marion, Alabama to Selma. And so when the journalism got back, he went back to Birmingham and he wrote this story, and he cataloged all the stuff that had gone on. It really put Ken Stabler in a really bad light, and the journalism person, the guy who wrote it, really got national attention and became, a focal point of, wow, this is an investigative sort of journalistic sort of way. And that journalist, his name was Paul Feinbaum.
Oh, wow.
So
that's how he got his start.
That's how he got his start. And years later, he and Kenny kind of, mended fences and all. There wasn't anything written that was wrong. It was just back in the day, Trip, there was no TikTok, there was no Snapchat, there was nothing like that. So people depended on the evening news and the newspaper.
Absolutely.
So absolutely. Kind of a neat thing. But I had gone back to Kenny's camp when I was a junior in high school. And by then, you know, I'd gone back to Salve, and I had a really good junior year kicking a football. I was on the all-county team. And going into my senior year, the coaches at Alabama had invited me up to Memorial Coliseum where the football office was. I met with Coach Rutledge and Dr. Dr. Gary White, and there was someone else. And they had told me, they said, you know, we have a kicker up here now who's a transfer student from the University of Hawaii. He didn't start there, but he's from Seoul, Korea, and they got, you know, really high hopes for this young guy. And of course, his name was Peter Kim. And, you know,
Peter Kim put an end to your kicking career.
He pretty much of going to Alabama, you know, but so when I was at Marion, the head football coach there, his name was Jim Goodman. He offered me a scholarship. And what we did was, as a junior college, we played the junior varsity teams from Alabama, Auburn, Florida State. We played Ole Miss. We played East Tennessee State, Nichols State, just a number of schools around the Southeast. And I needed to get better, and I needed to get more accurate. So it worked out, you know, really well, except when I go to the training camp and all, and there's like 6 other place kickers on the roster. And Trip, I came 1,400 miles away from home, you know, Central New York.
To be sixth string. Yeah, welcome to college football.
Yes. And so, you know, and the guy who was there the previous year, the starter, was there. Anyway, I ended up starting and played both years and had a great time, met some great people. And we played my freshman year, we played the JV team from Alabama, of which you participated.
Yep, I was in that game.
And the cool thing is that Stedman Shealy was a graduate assistant at Alabama at that time, and Stedman was part of Kenny's camp, not one to go out drinking, but he was just a really, really nice guy. He's from Dothan. Yep. And very devout in his faith.
Right.
You know, he was one person that I had met that I thought, wow, there's something different about this guy. And he just won 2 national championships as the quarterback of Alabama.
There was a ton of guys like that at Bama in 1980, Kurt.
You know,
they're all cookie cutter, good, tough guys, smart, went to school, just, you know, didn't cuss, drink, swear, smoke.
It was a different time, and you know, we're all products of our environment. But I remember that particular game. Stedman came over to me before the game because we had known each other. He talked to me, and then afterwards, we actually won that game my freshman year. He came over to me, and all the kids on our team were like, "Wow, you know this guy? You said, you know, Stedman's from Dothan, Alabama, you know." But anyway, so it worked out kind of neat. And the kicker for your team, for the junior varsity team at Alabama that freshman year, was George Mardini. Okay. And George really didn't get an opportunity to play except in the Cotton Bowl game. Coach Bryant put him in to kick an extra point. So
did he really?
Yes. So his name is now enshrined in, you know.
Hey, our good friend Butch Worley did the same thing in Alabama. He was a backup walk-on kicker.
Yeah.
I think Van Tiffen tapped Rodney Stokes on the shoulder and reminded him that Coach Perkins wanted him to kick an extra point or kick a field goal in the game.
Butch kicked a field goal against Mississippi State. And to this day, if you ask him, he'll say, "Kurt, I almost missed it."
He was our nanny. Hey, he was Dana and I nanny when I was in Toronto in '86. You and Dana were my biggest fans when I was playing in Alabama. Remember you made this sign?
Oh my gosh, that's it.
That's the sign. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for that I am grateful, Kurt. Man, we had some good times. I remember, man. Harry's Bar. Remember when we had that sign established in 1972? It was only 1980. Yeah, right. It wasn't 1872, Harry. It was 1972.
It was 1972. And you know, your viewers, you know, the 5 people that are going to watch this broadcast, okay, I need to let them know that if you think about it, you know, the name Tripoli, it ends in a vowel. He's from New York, and his family was in the solid waste management business. Okay, so you put all that together.
I got an offer you can't refuse.
Paul had connections. Okay, so you know, if we were to go, if Paul were to say, "Hey, Kurt, let's go down to Harry's and shoot some pool. I need to make some money," you know, because we were all poor, and I'm like, you know, Paul, you know,
we drank for free. We drank
you're
for
a great
free.
golfer, you know, and all, but you know, when you get some cocktails, pool. You know, pool's not for you. But you got Mike Rodriguez behind you, you know, like, okay, who's gonna mess with him, you know?
Oh my gosh. I remember one time that my fiance, Sharon Hall, she was in Harry's and a tornado broke out. And the only thing she could think of, please, Lord, don't let me die in Harry's.
Don't let me die in there.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
but man, how about the stories? You got some more stories about some really interesting. You got a Coach Stallings story. Tell a Coach Stallings.
I do. Well, just to back up real quick, our sophomore year, Alabama came down with a junior varsity and they beat us. And you had like Ricky Moore and touchdown Craig Turner from Gaithersburg, Maryland in the backfield. Like we could stop that, you know. But Paul Trod was the kicker on that JV team.
Right.
And he probably is traveling with the Clash, you know. I mean, he was a rocker from England and soccer guy. He was a great guy.
Oh, he was something he was one of a kind, man.
He was fun. And people don't remember, a lot of people don't, that when you went up to play up at Penn State and Peter Kim was hurt, Paul Trott kicked 2 field goals that day up at State College.
Yeah.
But my Coach Stallings story, I was very fortunate, very blessed, Paul, to work at 3 different universities. University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, when Coach Brown was there the first time in the mid-'90s.
Right.
Down at Georgia Tech, when Coach O'Leary, your former high school coach, was the head coach. Ralph Friedgen was on the staff there, and Randy Edsel.
Syracuse
was on the staff. Randy was a backup quarterback at Syracuse University and did his student teaching at my high school.
Wow.
You know, now, the high school you went to was like a 4A, 5A school, you know, I mean, as far as
4,000 kids in my high school.
And, you know, I had 163 in my graduating class. We were like a 2A school. But coming down and then working at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas, when we lived out there for about 5 years. And Daryl Dickey was the head football coach at UNT at the time. And I got to know him. He was a really nice guy. His dad was a coach. And it was in the early 2000s. And he said, Kurt, he said, you know, we play Alabama the first game of the year. He said, we'll leave out on a Thursday. He said, we'll practice Friday, games on Saturday. We'll fly home Saturday night. He said, I'd like you to go out with the team and, you know, hang out on the sidelines and all. And Brian, my eyes got like this big. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be freaking awesome. And then I thought for a half a second, Trip, both my kids played on a varsity football team and they had a game Friday night. And I said, Coach, I said, if it was anything else,
any day else,
to go just to be there in Tuscaloosa again. I hadn't been back in a long time. I said, I can't miss my kid's game.
Right.
And he understood. But while I was at North Texas, they were hiring a new athletic director. And so they needed someone to come in as an interim to kind of, you know, be there to shepherd the process and kind of hold things together. Well, Gene Stallings has a ranch up in Paris, Texas, and he agreed to come down and, you know, be part of the process. So he had an office on campus, and Freddie Kitchens was on staff, by the way, also at UNT at the time. Right. Anyway, so I had to go down to meet Coach Stallings. I mean, this is like one of the Junction boys, you know.
Absolutely.
And coaching the national championship team at Alabama and all. So I walk into his office. I introduced myself. I said, I'm a big fan, and I have some Alabama ties, and he just looked at me and nodded his head, and we talked for a little bit. And Coach Tripp, he talked like Coach Bryant. He had that
kind of,
and you had to lean in to kind of pay attention to what he was saying.
Yep.
He looked at me. He said, "Well, Kurt," and he called me by my first name, which I thought, that's awesome. He said, "Kurt," he said, "do you know what I collect?" And Paul, this totally threw me off. I mean, I had no idea where this conversation's going. I said, "No, Coach." I said, "I don't have any." He said, "I collect badges." He said, "I have police badges that I've got in the collection." He said, can you imagine who the only person is who has a better collection than I do? And I'm like, "No, Coach, I don't have any idea." He said, "Elvis." He said, "Elvis had a really good collection." He said, "Kurt," he said, "is there any way you think you can get it so that you can get me a police badge from here in North Texas, here on campus?" Because he knew I worked in the police department.
Right.
"Coach, before you leave today, I'm about to run through that wall for this guy, okay? He could have asked me anything, and I would have done it, He just had that aura about him.
Yeah, what a cool story, man.
So he was really neat. But while I was out there, we had a couple of events that I coordinated to promote safety on campus. And I would get people to come in and talk about, campus safety and all. Well, one of the folks that had come in was Daryl Johnston, Moose. And of course, he went to Syracuse. He played on the '88 team that went to the Sugar Bowl against Auburn, and Coach Dye went for the tie and whatever.
Yeah.
But he was so engaging. He was so neat to be around. And he's got a sister who lives in the Buffalo area, because he was from Western New York.
Right.
He was great. But I also asked in one of the years I was there for Barry Switzer to come down. Barry had a daughter who lived outside of Denton, Texas. And Barry, Paul, he was so engaging with the students. A student would come up for his autograph. First of all, he's a lot bigger in person than I would have thought. He had just had back surgery, and he's a big guy. And the students would come up and say, "Hey, Coach Switzer, can you sign this?" And of course he would. And then he'd ask, he said, "Now, where are you from?" And the student would say, "Weatherford, Oklahoma." Well, Barry would know who the football coach was. He knew the guidance counselor. He knew the English teacher.
Right.
It was like amazing.
Yeah.
Someone else would come up and say, and Barry would say, Coach would say, "Well, where are you from?" And they say, "Hooks, Oklahoma." Well, when they said that, he looked at me because I knew something about that. And he said, "Who would have thought a Heisman Trophy winner would have come from Hooks, Oklahoma? Because that's where Billy Sims went to high school." And so he would tell a Billy Sims story, and he would just go on and on. He was so, I don't know how the media had portrayed him in different venues or whatever. Yeah. But what a neat guy.
Yeah, just down to earth. He can find common ground with you. You know who reminded me of that, Kurt, is when I met him. Coach O. Coach O.
Yep.
And Coach Ogeron was like that. I talked to him for 20 minutes. It felt like I knew him for years. He was just that. He knew everybody. He went to Syracuse. He coached at Syracuse, and finding commonality of those guys, and they genuinely care. That's why they were such good recruiters and good football coaches too.
You know what? And I think that's going to be a dying art with this whole free agency thing, where there's not the invested interest, to develop a player going forward. And,
no, it's all changed. It's all changed so much, man. What did you learn? What did you learn in football that helped you in the transportation business for 30, 40 years?
You know what? That's a great question. One of the things about obviously working as a team, striving for a common goal, and that you have to sacrifice. Anything worthwhile, Trip, is work.
Right.
And it takes a dedication. And you know yourself as a walk-on in Alabama, you know, you didn't get the best equipment, you didn't get the best of this, but you know, it was almost like they're trying to run you off in some respects because there wasn't that investment in you. But you know what? You had something to prove.
Same way in business. Business
it is the same way in business.
The CEO's the head coach, you know, and then it trickles down, and you got to have job description and job specification. Be a good teammate is to be a good employee. Don't throw people under the bus. I know that's not a transportation pun you want to hear,
but it's true.
It's true. It's true. Wow. You know, I want to say one thing, man. Thank you for your service to this country, buddy. You know, 20 years in the reserve. You're a ship platoon officer serving in the Middle East. Talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. When I went to Alabama, my last 2 years, I went on the ROTC program. Plus, they paid me $100 a month trip. So, you know, the $160 for our apartment, you know, I mean, that went a long way. We could almost afford a Bama Beano pizza, you know, if the timing was right.
Sneaking popcorn into the movies.
You know what? You lived right above me, so you know we were just poor. But so I got my commission as an officer, second lieutenant in the Army from Alabama. Went on active duty up to Fort Eustis, Virginia. Actually played on the football team up there, which was a blast. Myself and there was a linebacker from the Citadel. We were the only two officers on the team. We played Langley Air Force Base and the Marines up at Quantico. It was just so much fun, but it taught me a lot. And, you know, coming to Marion, understanding the discipline that I needed as an 18-year-old, there's no telling, Trip, where I would have ended up had I gone somewhere else.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And you know, meeting a young lady at Judson College, which is an all-women's Baptist school there in Marion. You know, we've been married now for 43 years. Yeah. You were a groomsman in my wedding. Appreciate you doing that.
Was.
And I never took marital advice from you, so that was.
Thank you. That's good advice. That's good. That was a good thing. But that's a good thing. Yeah.
But you know, serving for 20 years, meeting a lot of people. You know, just real quick, I was over in the Middle East at a port in the Mediterranean, and I had a young soldier come up to me and said, "Lieutenant," he said, I think I should know your name. He said, it sounds really familiar. And I looked at him. I said, well, where are you from? He said, I'm from Jordan Elbridge, New York. And he said, my brother played football against you when you were at Salve. And so here, Trip, I'm on the other side of the freaking world, you know? Wow. And so I take this soldier off to the side, and for an hour, we just talked Salve High School Bearcat football, you know, and it was just such a neat thing. And, you know, it's such a small world because, you know, you'll run into people that remember things or whatever. And it's just nice to keep in contact. And I've been very blessed, my friend. I've been truly blessed over the years.
One Army Meritorious Service Medal.
Yeah.
Talk about that and receiving that, what that was for.
Well, I was in a joint leadership role, you know, with a number of joint services. And, you know, after 20 years of serving, one of the things that they can do is bestow on you, if your service has been outstanding, to provide you with a Meritorious Service Medal. And that's kind of a big deal. And but you know what? It's not about me, Trip. It's about the people I worked with who made me look good. And that, you know, I could pour into and hopefully mentor other people, you know, to come after me to be successful. And so that was really, really nice. I do have, if we have just a minute, I've got a story when you played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Can I share? Can I share that?
I probably won't remember like that pick against Ole Miss. You know, I've had too many concussions. I do remember some moments, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you knew that I was a Saints fan from, like, you know, a long time ago, back when Archie was the whole offense, and on the New Orleans Saints team back in the mid-'70s. their strong safety, he was the real deal. Tommy, I've got it written down here somewhere.
For the Saints, he was a safety for the Saints.
The safety for the Saints back in the mid 70s. He went to high school at Fayetteville Manlius, and
wow.
He went to Syracuse University, and the Saints drafted him. Anyway, he was the real deal, and so I was a Saints fan for a long time. Well, 1987, Paul Tripoli's playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is week 12, so it's early December. You're going to be playing in New Orleans in Superdome. And so you got a comp ticket, and you said, Kurt, hey, I got a ticket for you if you want to go to the game, blah, blah, blah. And, okay, my oldest son is just a year and a half old. My wife is 5 months pregnant with our second child, just got off active duty, just bought a house, still poor, driving a little Chevy Chevette. I said, Trip, that'd be great. I'll drive out to New Orleans about 2 hours and 20 minutes to get down the road. So you give me the directions and everything. I go to your hotel, and Ray Isom was your roommate on the road. He played defensive back at Penn State.
Right.
So I went up to your hotel room. We talked a little bit, laughed. I went with you down to the training room. And Mike Shula is sitting on the training table getting his ankles taped because Mike was on that team.
Yep.
And so, I'm involved with all this. And I remember out in the courtyard area, before you kind of went up to the rooms, that the $6 million man was there, Vinny Testaverde. And this was going to be Vinny's first start in the NFL, first game that he was ever going to start. And so I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great. But he looked scared. He looked like nervous and scared. So first play from scrimmage, I go up to my seat and everything. First play from scrimmage, Vinny's under center, and he fumbles the ball. And Saints recover, and they go in and score. And he actually fumbled twice that game.
Yeah.
Now, the Saints scored 44 points, Trip. I don't know where you were on defense, but you were out there a lot on special teams, okay?
I just played special teams.
Okay, so you can't. But Vinny threw for over 340 yards. I mean, it was a barn. It was 44-34 his final score.
Yeah.
So after the game, I catch up with you. I had a great time. And, man, I really appreciate you inviting me and all. And you look at me and you say, yeah, Kurt, you owe me for the ticket. And I was like, what? You said, yeah, you owe me for the ticket. Like you wanted me to pay you for the ticket. So I'm like, what kind of friend does this? I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So I have to get on the phone. Trip, I call my wife. You have to put in quarters. They have to go to a phone booth, because there's no cell phone. I said, honey, yeah, I don't think we can buy any diapers this month. Maybe we can use those cloth ones that we talked about. And I don't know about formula. And oh, by the way, I might not have enough gas to make it back to Mobile. I can get as far as Pascagoula. If you can get your brother maybe to come get me, I can get home, But,
That's
Trip,
so funny.
Yeah, but you had, connections. I wasn't going to mess with you, man.
That was a game Perk got in a fight and broke his hand at halftime with one of our offensive linemen.
Kurt Jarvis. Yep. And Hoss Johnson was on that team. You had a couple Alabama teams on that team. And
man. Well,
but that was
do you get back to Syracuse much?
You know what? I hadn't in about a year. I've got my oldest brother lives in Fabius, just south of Syracuse, going towards Cortland. Yeah. And, obviously I've got friends up there and I like to go up and visit when I can. But now that both my mom and dad have passed, I don't really get up too often.
Not too many families up there.
But it's I still have some great memories, though. Good people, and it was a good place to grow up.
What are you doing yourself now in retirement there in Dauphin Island? What are you doing?
Well, I try to fish when I can. You know, it's kind of overcast today, but I get the MLB channel. I'm still a huge Chicago Cubs fan. You know, the
they're on
Cubbies,
fire. They're on fire.
15 in a row, baby,
Wow.
with their home games.
Oh,
And we've got tickets next Thursday to go up to Atlanta to watch them play the Braves Thursday night.
Good. Oh, good.
Looking forward to that. And the grandkids live up in the Atlanta area. So,
do they?
They do, in North Atlanta, up in Gwinnett County.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we try to get up there and visit our oldest son, Nathan, and his family. And our son, Ben, lives up in Bristol, Virginia. So it's not too far away, but you know what? Both of them are doing great. I'm so proud of both of them.
Yeah. Kids this generation, they go where opportunity takes them, you know.
Well, that's true.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky I got both mine here in Pensacola.
You know what? You are. And I hope that, Zach and Amanda are two of the 5 people that will watch this. So I can give them a shout out.
No, that's probably not it, but
Zach
won't be 2 of the 5.
Zach recovering from a muscle injury, but
he relieved me of my duties. He tore his bicep climbing a tree in the snow in Maine.
Oh gosh!
So I had to help him the last couple of weeks, and so he relieved me of my duties, and thank goodness.
Good for you. And I know when Amanda was born, we were one of the couples that really prayed for her, because that was a real difficult time. She was just a tiny 10
weeks early. Yeah, 10 weeks early.
And but you know what a beautiful young lady she is, and a mom and a wife, and you were very blessed.
Blow. So blessed, man. So blessed. Both my kids. Kerry Good, what he said about Zach on the show was amazing. Let's get on, play golf. You playing any golf?
You know what?
We were there one time. There we are.
There we are.
There we are playing. There's you out of the bunker. What are you doing in the beach there? You're in the bunker.
Well, the beach was in my future, so I ended up moving to a beach. So
I got to show a picture. There's Coach. There's Mike Schuler there.
There he is.
Down at the bottom. There's Mike.
There he is.
There's me, Ricky. Here's Mike White. Here's Mike White right here. Mike White.
Oh yeah.
There's Mike White singing. You know, this was in college at the 83 Sun Bowl. Mike White.
El Paso, Texas.
Mike White, man, what a guy. He was the captain of the offense. I was captain of the defense. He became a Navy SEAL, man, and he put Al Miller.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He put Al Miller's picture up in his Navy SEAL locker. And then he became the head of Bruce Springsteen's one of his tours, the head of security.
Really?
Yeah, he loved Springsteen. And
gosh.
Yeah, that guy has an amazing life. Kurt, man, my bestie, Linda and the boys. It's great to see you, man. I love you, buddy.
Paul, I love you too, man. And keep in touch. Let me know how you're doing so we can get together.
Yeah, let's get together, buddy. Take care. Thank you for being on.
All right, take care. See ya.
Go on. Wow, Kurt Neufang, good buddy. Had some good stories. Thanks for watching Coach's Corner, everybody. Had a little different spin this week. And thanks for Kurt coming on. Everybody have a great sports weekend. Next week, we got some great guests coming up, so stay tuned. Have a great one, everybody. So long.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
75 years of service in high tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than a simple pane of brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.